Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
My name is Drew, and today I'm inviting my very best friend Mike and Nick onto the show. How are you doing, Mike and Nick, respectively?
I'm doing good, Drew. How about you? Your voice changed.
Yeah, it did, actually. Sounds much better and more attractive, huh?
Thank you.
Nick, how are you?
I'm less attractive now.
Ooh.
Speaking of less attractive, have you guys seen the BMW iX and BMW i4?
Oh, that's such a beautiful car.
Yeah, the giant kidneys on the front. So sexy, so
The
beautiful.
kidneys?
That's what they are. Look at them. Look at them. They literally are called kidneys in the community.
But they're
the
air
community.
scoops to help the brakes break better.
Which community are you referring to?
The
healthcare
automotive community.
Oh, not the healthcare.
The automotive community calls them kidneys.
No, apparently they have a whole bunch of sensors behind them, and that's their excuse for making them really big and flashy. Because it still
But I
shows
love
the
how
BMW.
any way they show it off with any license plate has to cover up the design of those kidneys, and it just breaks the whole design. It's terrible.
This is
Absolutely
why digital
terrible.
license plates should become a thing, because then they just
Totally.
project
Yes.
it onto
Yeah,
the
why aren't they?
the really disgusting kidneys, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mean they have to be mandatory, but if you wanted one, why? Maybe that is a thing, and we just don't buy into it because it's
I don't
expensive
think
or something.
so.
I've seen a
I don't know.
few on some high-class cars on the back, not on the front necessarily, but on the back. But I think it has to be a specific brand or specifically made one approved by the DMV or something like that. So,
Okay.
It looks like California and Michigan are the only states that allow it.
cool.
That's
You can
two
pick them
very
up on
specific.
Amazon for. Well, never mind. Amazon just has listings for backup cameras.
Oh,
But yeah, to answer your
Well, that's not
question, Nick, I guess. The BMW
No, let's not
i4
stick with that through the whole show. My name's
I-
Nick. That was just for the intro.
They're very interesting. I mean, what they call the i4, it's like a grand sedan or something like that. It's just like a really beefed up sedan, like the Polestar
Grand
2.
sedan. Uh-huh.
And doesn't look too bad in my opinion, besides the giant kidneys on the front.
No, I think from the back or the side, it looks decent. Door handles are
Yeah.
pretty slick. They kind of remind me of the Tesla Semi new door handles, just other direction. But 300-mile range estimated by the EPA is decent.
For the i4. Yeah.
For that, yeah, i4 has 530 horsepower.
They didn't show
0
any
to-
interior shots or anything. It's kind of like an early announcement of it, almost
Yeah.
like an iPhone.
Yeah, I kind of get annoyed when they unveil things without a price.
Or anything else.
That bugs me a bit. Yeah. They're like, range will be good. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And they
If-
said,
if I
I think
had
they
to-
said, sorry, Nick. I think they also
No,
said
go
it
ahead.
has a 0 to 60 of around 4 seconds on its most highest performance variant. So that's not bad.
So I know. No, it's not. I don't have too much of know-how about the i series with BMW. Do you have a price guess for the i4? What target demographic do you
80
think they're
grand.
going with? Is this a S or a 3?
I think
It
in
looks like
between.
it's right
Competitor.
between the two.
Yeah.
I think 80 is probably its mid-tier. I have no idea about anything about BMW, and I know my best friend who's probably listening to this from high school, who's all into like 80s BMWs, is probably cringing as I say this, but it looks about like an $80,000 car to me.
So they're going for premium
Yeah, like
interior. you
maybe
think?
starting at 69.9 or something, but the model you want is probably about 80. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a bad
I
design.
could be totally off. I have no idea. I'm just saying that.
I've seen worse.
So I would say if I had to buy a car solely on its marketing images, this would be a pretty good one. Because
Really? You like the look?
I love the pink, blue, orange background that they have with all their marketing images. It looks so nice.
You like the lighting they chose.
I love lighting, guys. Good lighting is so important. You have no idea. This beautiful face doesn't look so nice without good lighting. And this car, the lighting is so beautiful, it distracts me from how ugly this car is.
Yeah, that grill was a terrible choice.
Yeah.
Hopefully they hear people's opinions on that and decide they should tinker it or change that aspect of it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, wouldn't steer me away from a Model 3. I mean, the specs aren't really chasing
I'm
that
sure the
very much.
interior is not minimal. There's no way that...
Probably
I
not.
think a good gauge for it is looking at the iX, actually, Nick. If you take a look at some interior shots of the iX, they've got those for that one. I think it's got a range of 378 or something like that, with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, which isn't bad. Thinking
That's
about
pretty
like
good.
Ford and their Mach-E.
Interesting.
I think is
not
that
Mustang.
not Mustang. No Mustangs yet besides the Mustang Mach-E.
I know they call it that, but that's not it.
No,
It's a lie.
Mustang Gate.
Okay.
But
Yeah, this iX doesn't look too bad on the interior.
yeah, it's
I've
not
seen
too bad
worse.
on the interior. It reminds me of the Mach-E with the dial on the bottom, except it's also kind of got like a little scroll
Yeah.
rolling wheel closest to the driver that is usually seen in like Volvos. So
Yeah.
very interesting choice. And then the screen and
But
such.
it's still just nice one. It looks like just one long continuous screen from behind the driver to the center console. That's kind of nice.
It
And
reminds me of
I like the fact they don't have 90 materials on the dash. That's nice.
Yeah.
Although their seats kind of don't look great either, so I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's not a bad look.
It's not a bad look. It's just not for me. I definitely prefer Tesla's Cybertruck.
If you did, if you couldn't tell by our
What?
previous episodes,
No way. Nick
But-
likes the Cybertruck. Heresy.
we need more electric. So I won't bark up any electric vehicles coming out with decent range. That, yeah, I mean they're probably going to be pricey, but and to be fair, the 373 miles of range is with WLTP.
What's that?
Oh.
I don't.
Rip.
It's the more generous range estimate.
Okay.
So if the Model 3 was based on WLTP, I think it would get closer to 400 or surpass 400 or something.
I think a better
So
measure would be the
EPA
Model
might
Y
be.
then.
Yeah,
Since
it's probably pretty close to the Y.
They don't even
in
call
terms
the
of
thing an
range.
SUV. They call it a, I think, SAV or something like that, a sports activity
What?
vehicle.
Activity. Oh,
Yeah.
That's very different
No
from
utility,
utility,
in
right?
this. Nothing but activity.
Nothing can be useful in this vehicle. Just activities.
We took the utility out of SUV. That'd be a great tagline. Now it's just for activities, which I guess is better.
SAV? It's like so
Maybe.
savage.
Well, I appreciate. I don't appreciate, but I recognize that they want to keep the kidney grill on both the iX and the i4. They're like, that's our signature
Yeah.
Hitler stash look. We got to keep that
you went there.
standard.
You went there. Okay.
I mean,
And technically, that mustache was popular before the man himself. So, like, it's
They're
called
trying to
a
give it a different look.
caterpillar stash. But
can't
no
knock
one
stash.
used it after him. He was the last one.
you can't knock their plan though. I don't know if you've seen their roadmap that they kind of unveiled for their electric fleet for the I series, where they want to sell at least 1 million electrified vehicles. So I kind of got off put by the wording that they used here. They said electrified, so I immediately thought battery powered. No, it means electrified as in assisted and battery. So they're trying to sell 1 million by I think next year or the end of this year, and then.
Whoa.
I think 2023 or 2025, they're planning on selling about 2 million electric vehicles by then, which I think that's attainable.
Does that count hybrids?
Yeah, that would.
So the first milestone, the one that's closest to us, yes, that one counts hybrids. The one that I think is in 2023 or 2025, I think it specifically said, or it was more in line with battery electric vehicles rather than electrified vehicles.
No combustion engine.
Hopefully not, but I do approve of at least they have some sort of plan, and it seems like they've got a pretty sustainable way of making a lot of their vehicles, or at least they claim they do, which good on BMW. I know that they're really, after seeing the Model 3, their M3 series is kind of struggling, and so they have to come up with something to compete with this new competitor in their whole entire compete with their new competitor. Yeah, compete with this new entity in the marketplace and try to make a product that is a lot more appealing and will definitely capture a lot more people and bring them back to BMW instead of losing them to Tesla or Lucid or anything else.
Yeah, that transition's going to be, I think, brutal over the next decade, and who adapts and who doesn't is probably going to be a big deciding factor to who makes it. So it's good to see them making moves.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see VW making moves. I didn't watch all of what was it? Power Day, Battery Day. What did VW had their own event?
Maybe
Did you
it's
catch
Power
any
Day.
of that?
I didn't see it. No.
I watched probably a quarter of it, kind of scrubbed through a little bit as well. But besides that, it seems like their aim with their electric vehicles is making compact EVs all the way up to ultra high or ultra luxury EVs. So it seems like they're competing with both Tesla on the affordable scale and Lucid on the luxury scale, which will be interesting to see what they kind of kick out in terms of competing with Lucid, since that iX, kind of like what you noted, Nick, the iX dash screen looks very similar to the Lucid, in my opinion. I mean, I have to probably look back at the iX and the Lucid Airs.
They do the one screen
wrap
all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good move for BMW to kind of compete with that, because they're known for their luxury vehicles as well, or at least their performance vehicles. So it
Sure.
only makes sense to kind of aim your sights at the newest competitor that's coming to market this summer. In your face, Drew, by the way.
Wait, which one's coming this summer?
Oh, the Lucid Air. I think
Oh,
we had a...
they said second half.
That's still summer.
It could be, but I feel like if it was summer, they would have said summer, not... Typically, if they give you a time...
It's like the last
Imagine
day.
the very end of that time. It's like the legally last day of summer if they say summer. So if they give themselves second half, that makes me think Q4.
I'm willing to put
Like
$10 down on
December.
this, that they're coming out with the Lucid Air between now and the mid part of fall. I think that's when the Lucid Air is coming out.
Well, if you asked them a couple months ago, they would have said April.
Oh,
No.
I'll just drive up to Newark right now and ask Peter. And
Do that.
I'll
You
sit-
should ask him.
I'll sit in the
that.
front with him like Jim Cramer did the other day.
Did you get the email from them that said, we're almost out?
Yeah, they sent an email saying, "Hey, we still have Dream Editions available. Don't miss out on this opportunity." I thought,
I want to know how
Yes.
how many people bought one because of that email. They were like, "Oh, they're not out yet."
They're
Okay,
so
I'll drop
popular.
180 grand. Does that work ever? Like, just telling people, "Hey, there's still some reservations left on our
Hey.
180 grand car."
We haven't sold all out yet. We're super popular. Come pay us money. Maybe
reminds me of
one
the
day.
Lordstown thing, I guess, with all the reservations
Ugh,
for two people to deal with.
Jeez.
These
You have
two
any thoughts
people
on
are
that,
going to
Mike?
need a lot of trucks.
I just think like almost what was it? There's that one SpongeBob episode, another SpongeBob reference for EV or tech, where SpongeBob is going crazy in his mind, and there's like filing cabinets having paper thrown everywhere, and everything's on fire. I imagine that, but with Lordstown, but it's just two people just running around with their hair on fire, just like, we have to deliver these trucks. It's just two people.
Yeah, I won't be shocked if we find out that they push first deliveries. I think Rivian's might hit their timeline though.
When they supposed to deliver their first vehicles this summer?
June. They said June specifically, not second half. Very different.
So the
but
very last day of June, possibly
Yeah.
beginning of July.
June 31st. But they started contacting reservation holders about preparing for delivery, and they started filling them in on like Rivian specialists that you'll be able to talk to for everything and stuff. So that makes me think they're getting there. And RJ posted this Twitter video of like all R1Ss that he was inspecting, and they all had unique wraps
saw
and
that,
stuff. I was
yeah.
like, whoa, this is kind of neat.
Unless he like laid down in one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he's 6'2", I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So
Because it showed that
We
he had
need more-
room, and he's 6'2". That means Nick can probably fit in there, because it seemed like he had extra room.
No.
No.
You think
Maybe.
You think a 9 foot 93-inch person would fit in the back of that Rivian? No.
he's 9 foot 93 inches. He has to put
Exactly.
down the passenger seat, but he can still fit. If you only have the driver's seat up,
Okay.
but then the seat right next to that, maybe Nick could
that
fit.
might work.
You have to push
That might work.
the front windscreen off of the car, the
Oh.
full glass pane.
Just
Take
like
it off.
Behringer allows you to like take the front windscreen and like lift it up. Yeah, just take the front windscreen off.
At this point, I think Nick is more giraffe than human.
My neck isn't that long, Mike. Come on.
Twisted and evil.
Also, constantly in chronic neck pain.
Mike got that one. I don't think Nick got that
I didn't get that.
No,
He's more machine now than man.
We just
What
reviewed
movie
them.
is this from?
Oh my god.
Come on, Nick. we just
What did we just?
I haven't
review?
even seen this movie recently.
we just reviewed 3 movies of it on Taylor's Movie Review.
Toy Story.
Oh my god.
Twisted
He must
yet
be
evil.
trolling.
Who says
He's
twisted
more
but evil?
machine than
Alec Guinness.
Oh, Darth
He's
Vader.
more giraffe
Okay.
now than man.
Oh.
Twisted and
Okay.
evil. Okay, moving on.
he's more
Got
Mrs.
it,
Nesbit
thanks.
than
Mike.
man.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Nesbit.
Nesbit.
How are you?
Sorry.
That's a terrible Tim Allen impression.
Ouch.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Fine then.
Mike,
Yes.
as a Canoe shareholder, what did you think of the pickup?
I love the pickup. Me and my wife watched it. I watched it like the night before when they first finally published the video online,
Uh-huh.
and then got so excited because at first, like, just seeing the images online, I'm like, this is a neat vehicle. Like, it's basically just a canoe, but it's a truck, and it looks modular in a sort of way. And then watching the video, I'm like, holy cow, they are definitely like promoting this for kind of small companies in towns or cities that can afford some sort of fleet of electric vehicle trucks, or at least just trucks in general, but to be able to customize it for whatever they want. I think I forget his name, the guy who basically did both videos for the multi-purpose delivery vehicle and the truck.
Oh, yeah.
Was showing this off, and he was just saying like, oh yeah, plumbers, they can stuff their stuff right here, or they can plug into things and it goes down to maybe 30% or whatever by the end of the day, which is perfectly a good amount of range and or gets you to a charger. I think it's fantastic, and my wife loves it. She's just like,
So let me
she
just
does?
say, as a Cybertruck fan, this thing is amazing. It's,
Oh, you like it too?
It's exactly what I want out of a vehicle that's not a Cybertruck. So yes, it's angular, it's boxy, it's perfect. I love it. Made of steel or aluminum or something.
the letter
Beautiful.
P.
It is the letter P, yeah. You got your big curve and your flat. The 8-foot bed part I was most interested in. The fact that you could like fold out and extend the bed longer and have these little, still have like a tailgate that folds out to keep stuff inside. I was like, dang, that's like it. What I like about it that it addresses that the Cybertruck I think intentionally doesn't address is it looks pretty compact. Like it looks fairly narrow compared to most traditional trucks. So it looks like, seeing the guys talk about it and walk around it, and it looks like they maximized the amount of usable space for a truck that really isn't that big, and yet still has all these great cargo areas and things that can unfold and unmount and extend. And Canoe's very much about all of those different configuration options, both with the delivery vehicle and then with the different
Sorry,
seatings in the
I was talking
lifestyle
about
vehicle.
The delivery
But
vehicle. The lifestyle vehicle is a little like too basic of a design.
The canoe,
I love the
like,
delivery
style
vehicle.
van or whatever.
what's that?
The van that you're talking about, Nick?
I'm talking about the delivery vehicle. I love the delivery vehicle
Oh,
and
yeah.
how angular,
The amount of
angular it is.
configuration. I don't know if you've seen the video either, Nick, but there's so many different configurations you could do with that multi-purpose delivery vehicle. You could customize
Okay.
it for anything, whether you want like a coffee shop on wheels or just a regular
Taco truck.
Yeah, taco truck.
Taco truck? Yes, please. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I want to live in a taco truck. Yes.
They had all these concepts of different ways people could use it, and there were literally like 100 different variants, and they all looked unique. I was just like, dang,
Hadn't seen
this
those.
is cool. Like they built a platform more than anything, super customizable.
And they
So,
think at the end
I wish
offer,
them the
like,
best.
Yeah, I think they're offering 3 sizes with that one. But I think officially on the site they only offer 2. But
Do you want small,
Yeah.
medium, or large? Extra large, please.
I would like to drive.
It does look
a
like a
semi.
cyber van.
Cybervan is what I'm looking for, guys. You got it.
That's pretty much it. As close as you are to a Tesla making a van, the canoe delivery vehicle is pretty much it.
I'm sure you could dump a bunch of money into that. Like, I know that they started, I think, around 33,000 for just the base price. But like for the amount of configurations that it can offer, I'm sure that could probably go up to like maybe 80 or 90 easily. If you want like
Probably.
giant swinging compartment doors or
Yeah.
whatever that open up to a coffee shop or a laundromat, or I think what my wife loved is the flower van.
Laundry- yeah,
Oh.
the flower van.
Yeah. She's like, oh, that's so
I
many
like
flowers."
I think the pickup they unveiled has a chance at being their best seller, to be honest.
I think so.
Because their approach with the lifestyle vehicle, I don't know how well that's going to work. I know that they want to go all in on the membership, the idea of not selling the whole vehicle, but you just subscribe to it for as many months as you need it. And I know that it makes you more approachable somewhat to different demographics, but I feel like a lot of people would rather just buy it outright, and I haven't heard if they plan on making that optional or if they just plan on going all in on membership, but I don't know. I'm not crazy about the month-to-month ownership idea.
Yeah, that was the thing that kind of weirded
Ownership
me
of
out
what?
about Canoe at the beginning, when I think Jay Leno did a review of it and got more information
Yeah.
out of them, and I was still very confused about what Canoe is. When they came out with the multi-purpose delivery vehicle, I'm
Mhm.
like, I can get behind this. This makes sense. You could buy this. You can make fleets of it. I can easily see this as a
Yeah.
USPS alternative, in which instead they go with the Pixar car.
Mhm.
Um,
The Pixar
The
car.
Pixar car.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and the pickup, if I assume that, again, that's falls into the same thing as the iX and the i4, is like, here it is, but we don't know how much it's going to cost. And I think Tesla is kind of smarter at announcing price when they unveil something, because they know that influences people's opinion on it greatly. It's like, yeah, if you announce this thing and it's $30,000, I'll be amazed. But if you announce this thing and it's $80,000, I'm going to be like, okay, hit the road. We don't care. We're not interested. So finding out just a ballpark, at least, like even if you don't plan on completely hitting that number, still, I would rather hear what you're targeting, because, you know, Tesla doesn't hit the numbers usually they unveil their cars with. But if you can at least let me know what you are thinking it'll cost, that would be great, because right now it's just like, if you can undercut the Cybertruck, this is actually going to be super compelling. But if you can't undercut the Cybertruck, I think most people would rather just for the supercharging network alone, they would rather go with the Cybertruck, or knowing its exoskeleton is all durable and everything. That's kind of the standard when it comes to electric pickups now. Everything is going to be directly compared to the Cybertruck, unless you don't want a design that's crazy like that, which you don't have a ton of options for anyway. You've got like Rivian and
You
Lordstown
used to
if they
have
actually
Lordstown,
make it. Yeah.
and then they literally caught on fire.
Yeah. I haven't seen them address any of the reports, though.
I'm glad
would
I
they?
don't own any stock in them. Except if
Yeah.
I owned
Yeah.
Nikola stock, I would be in positive right now. Just because for some reason people keep on buying
I don't
it.
understand.
People keep buying
Nick-
Nikola?
People
Yeah,
keep on
the
buying
stock
Nikola.
keeps going up for some
The
reason.
stock market is the weirdest creature ever. But
They literally like announce nothing and the stock goes up 5%. I think just because it's a EV technically, and that people are like, "Oh, Tesla, that means Nikola is just like Tesla, so they buy into it. The stocks correlate with each other.
Oh my
way too
gosh,
much.
they're up to $15. Trevor
really?
must be so happy.
Okay. Last time I saw it was
Yeah,
17.
They opened at 70.
Well,
Or-
I remember when it was like 6.
I don't know if it ever was at
Was
6.
it ever 6? I remember
You might
it
be
dipping down
thinking
to
of
like
Ford.
12 or 10.
All right, let's see.
6
All-time
is pretty
trend.
low. But yeah, anyways, while you guys are looking
Yeah,
at
it's-
that, best of luck to
15's.
Lordstown and however they're going to address Hindenburg. Maybe they'll learn from Nikola
Uh-huh.
and just not say anything back. Just be like, we're
Yeah,
just going to
'cause-
ignore you. We're going to continue with what we're
Right.
doing. Or if they address it, then they're opening themselves up to kind of the Nikola path of getting investigated and then whatever.
True.
Whatever two-man teams they've got in an office somewhere. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if they're going to be in trouble necessarily. They're probably working their tails off, if anything. At least trying to
Prove them wrong. That's the
Yeah.
best they can do, just with deliveries. But yeah, I think Nikola's response to Hindenburg was more damaging than Hindenburg's report itself. Just the fact that they came forward and said, "We never said the truck was self-propelled. We said it was in motion," and it was that response that everyone was like, "What?"
What? The internet never forgets, Trevor. Did you forget that fact?
I mean, it moves now.
must have.
Didn't you see the video of it moving in the snow? Or is that a different truck?
The tray, yeah, that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
That's the all-electric one. But I don't know if you guys caught those videos. I did not have much faith in them after watching the tray, because it looks like the cabin's gonna fall off the drivetrain. Like whenever they
watch that.
floored it, the whole back half of it's like, it moves around a lot. It wiggles quite a bit for a semi truck, and it makes a ton of noise. They did some 0 to 60 test, and it was making all this. It didn't sound safe. It just sounded like they're filming their R&D process, because they only have one of those things, and they barely came up with the external design. They got that from another semi trucking company,
Yeah.
and they probably got the batteries and powertrain from another company. So I'm not sure what exactly they own in the process, but
Was this the video of it in the snow?
I don't know.
They have really nice 3D renders.
no, I saw the snow video, but they had one on a track where they
Okay.
were trying to show off how fast it was, but it looked like it almost fell apart in the process. So just watching it wasn't reassuring. Seeing the Tesla semi go around the track, though, was like, looked solid, looked fine, made a really cool noise. It
The amount
didn't
of
sound
noise,
like it was
yeah.
about to catch on fire.
Definitely sounds a lot more like a semi than an electric vehicle. I mean, in terms of like noise of a vehicle that is electric, it's definitely not that. It's definitely a lot more industrial in terms of hearing it
Right.
on the road, at least from the test track. No, that was a cool video, though. I'm very happy that Tesla at least showed something off, though. They showed the video off of an iPhone on the side of the track instead of like the back of the Y, which makes me think the back of the Y shots that people caught with the drone the other day is going to be incorporated into the site or maybe sent to reservation holders, which would be nice.
I was thinking investor relations page, maybe.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know if that's where you'd want to put a video necessarily. I would think you want to put...
Well, not a video. I meant like photos, possibly.
Oh, yeah, probably. I'd say end of quarter 2 or whatever. They'll probably be like, hey, look what we did. Or I guess it's quarter 1, right?
Hopefully sooner. Yeah. That would be cool if they had some updates on the semi at the next earnings call, and they were like, hey, Jerome's head of heavy trucking now. We're testing. What do you think it is? I mean, I have my own theories about what that semi prototype going around the track is, but I haven't picked your guys' brain about it.
What do you mean by is?
Well,
Like the base or long range?
Why are they testing it? Why now?
It's like the Generation 2 pre-production beta, I guess. I don't know. It's they had their first generation beta where like those are the ones they rolled out and whatever, but like so much has changed in the past 3 years that like Elon's probably like, okay, how few parts can we have here? Let's try to take the heat pump and integrate that into the system. All of these new technologies that Tesla has invented over the past 3-4 years since the semi was originally announced. And this is also their pre-production qualifying unit or whatever, the one that will get the EPA tests, the one that will get the all of the crash testing and all that fun stuff that they're going to do.
Ooh,
And then they'll
semi-crash testing. That sounds exciting.
How many smart cars will this crumble?
What is it?
Can it roll?
Rate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can it roll?
I think you can over.
I mean, it's very tall. So what are the odds of going like upside down?
I think it's got a high likelihood of being on its side, but upside down, probably not.
I was gonna say you'd have to hit a turn
you
really
haven't
hard.
seen some of the windstorms in the west. There are, like on the 70, it's a big freeway that goes across the middle of Kansas. I've seen more cars and semis, especially empty semis. Empty semis are the worst when there's like no weight in the back and they're just basically a sail, and like the wind will just catch them and like pick them up and roll them over like 200 feet. And it's like, dang.
Luckily, the Tesla semi should be way heavier than most.
It should be, yeah. So just the tail end will go sailing.
Bottom half stays on the ground.
The driver's like, Tesla autopilot's like, engage wind auto steer. It's like trying to drive.
I think you're right, though, Nick, with the prediction. I don't think it's generation 2 necessarily, because one, Tesla does continuous improvement, so it's probably like iteration 15 or something like that. But they did do a lot of winter testing with a couple models. I think they brought 2 or 3 up to Alaska or something like that. And one of those seemed to be the red one that we've seen before, but there's, I think, a white one that looked very similar. Not the one that we see now. That one's a glossy white. This one was more of a kind of a wrap white.
Silver.
Silver? Was it silver? I guess so.
It looked silver. It looked like the same color as the sleeper cab one you got me. The one here.
That I got. Yes. Oh, we are announcing now that I have ordered a semi.
We're going to convince him live on the air.
Oh, my goodness.
No,
my wife would kill me.
The little T on the wheel came off.
No.
Dang Fremont quality control.
The T on my... Just tweet
There,
at
I have it on
Tesla.
my
Hey,
finger.
the T on my semi came off. Can y'all help me out? I'm like, yeah, please send it to a service center.
I mean, the same thing kind of happened
very
with my
detailed.
Tesla Tequila. It became Esla Tequila because the T went missing.
Yeah. They need to work on their stickers a bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you
Whatever
see that
these are.
Esla Tequila is available to purchase again?
It was for, I think,
was.
an hour.
Oh,
gone
an hour?
now.
Okay.
I think they had like 2. So they were like, hey.
I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, bought 4 more." I'm like, "Oh, come on!" Like, at
4
least
more?
let other people buy it. Like, you already have probably 5. Just let people at least experience it or something. I don't know if it's the exact same blend or.
You got 2 though, right?
I got 2 because I knew I was going to drink 1, and the second one we're saving for the Cybertruck.
Ooh,
To celebrate.
good choice.
But yeah, no. I mean,
That's a good.
and the bottle
good
looks
idea.
nice, and I think they had plans of selling the bottle without the tequila
It's
at
very
one point.
fancy.
But that's what we're probably going to do with ours, is that once we empty it, imagine that we're halfway done with it, which is crazy.
Whoa.
But
Wow.
yeah, once we're done with it, we'll probably fill it up with
Isn't it like 10 gallons or something of tequila?
gallons of tequila.
I want to see that one.
I love
10
how like,
gallon.
all of the images online on like Tesla's website give no context to the size of this electric bolt. And so when I was first ordering it, trying to order it, I couldn't because I couldn't get it delivered here because of dumb reasons. But when I was first looking at it, it was like, I wonder how much this is. I think it's like a liter or something or whatever. So it's not a ton. But how big is it?
I mean, it fits in my hand. I think the video that me and Drew did was on the,
Yeah, I saw the video, but I was
talks or
just
whatever.
wondering how much it was.
or I guess EV. I don't
It
know.
was food.
I forget how much liquid it holds, but it's a
We'll
good
have
amount. You're definitely not going to go through
Look
it
it up,
quickly.
Jamie. Yeah. Well, do you think the semi-testing is going to mean that we'll see deliveries this year? Or do you think
Oh.
that's still too soon?
I think deliveries are happening at the end of this year, at least for one
Nice.
or 2 companies. I think they're going to get at least maybe 5 out, 5 or 10. I think.
5 or 10, huh?
I think that's possible.
Be pretty.
I mean, it's
Sawyer Merritt is still. I asked him on his live stream the other day. He's still saying a couple thousand.
Wow, that's. I guess I just wonder where they're gonna be having final assembly. Like, if it's Fremont, fine. But like, what's leaving in Fremont? Because we're already building things intense at Fremont. Fremont has way too much going on. Obviously, they want to get Model Y coming out of Texas by the end of the year, hopefully. So that's something that might be taking off some pressure from Fremont. But just getting the assembly line and all that set up, like, we know what kind of production hell Model 3 went through. And Model Y was easier because it was mostly Model 3 with just bigger sizes. So with the Semi, I think it's going to be very complicated to set up a fully streamlined assembly line for the Semi. And it's not going to be something they're going to whip up in a few months like they are able to with the Y, or like they're hoping to be able to do with the Cybertruck. It's completely different. Like, I've seen this thing in person, guys. Like, come on, I'm cool. I've seen this thing in person. It's
So has Mike.
It's huge.
Yeah,
It's huge.
I've seen both.
It's huge.
I've seen both.
And I
the
have
red and the
one.
silver.
So we're.
Ooh. But Nick saw it first.
I did.
So-
I saw it
Did
back
you?
in 2018 before it was popular, guys. Come on.
No,
It wasn't
well,
popular.
wait, when in 2018? Because I saw the silver one as well in 2018.
It was like August, I think.
Same.
I don't know. I think the Semi
look up the
wouldn't
date.
require as big a assembly line because of how low volume it is.
It would be low volume, but you still have to set up at least one assembly line. That's
Yeah,
fairly
but I'm
efficient.
saying
I think
it wouldn't have to be as large as the like Model Y assembly line or Model 3 assembly line.
I think Drew has a point.
That's
If you
fair.
think about what the Semi represents for Tesla, is it's their entry into commercial vehicles moving around large amounts of payload, and they gotta get that right because their customer is not some dude who just has some ranch in the middle of Wyoming or wherever. It's like big names like Walmart and Target. I think Target. I forget what other ones. I think maybe Swift may have a few. I forget.
UPS, I think, ordered
UPS
a
has a
bunch.
few. Wow.
DHL.
But yeah, so like,
Lay's
these
chips.
are pretty high.
September 3rd, 2018.
They have a lot of skin in the game in terms of like, or not skin, but they have a lot of risk with. If you
Yeah.
think about, I guess like the Model Y, right? Like, or at least what they said about production. I think on either the Sandy Monroe podcast or with Joe Rogan. At least what Elon said is that like the first batch of general assembly or general manufacturing production or whatever is usually good. And then you get that awkward phase of like, it's kind of wonky. You've got some panel gaps. It's weird. And then you finally kind of get into a groove of like, oh, this is really good tolerances in the vehicle. With the Semi, they can't afford that, I'd say. I'd think at least for this year, if they're going to be building them, if they're going to be building 1,000, I think they're all mainly going to be handmade. I don't think it's going to be general assembly of like setting up a whole entire tent structure on the site of Fremont trying to build these things with machines. I think it's going to be a whole lot of kind of custom work with a lot of dedicated people, kind of like how I envision the Roadster is going to be. I think that's going to be a lot of people working tirelessly hand by hand on each bolt, bolting it in, making sure that each one is to a certain tightness and it's well within a certain margin that is acceptable for it. I think the semis that are being built this year are going to be almost like that. I think next year is going to be when is the big struggle of them trying to make a more reliable manufacturing system for the Semi.
Agreed.
And there's been lots of rumors of Giga Nevada being a place for it because they're hiring a lot of job positions there that say like semi-production and that kind of thing. So
I applied for a few.
there's been rumors I've read. Oh, nice. You go out in Nevada.
I heard nothing.
You'd be. Oh, that's too bad. You could hand build the Semi though.
That'd be fun.
That'd be a fun job.
I'm just imagining Mike with a wrench.
Work.
He's got to put the windshield wiper on each one.
Oh, jeez. Please give me a light.
That'll be his
No
position.
panel gaps, Mike. No panel gaps.
I want the case to be like they've decided that Plaid Plus has been delayed because they want to prioritize Berlin and the Semi because they've realized that they've got enough variants of the Model S. You've got the same amount of variants on the Y as the S. So Tesla doesn't seem to like having 3 different trims. If they can avoid it, they will. They're like, no, dual motor performance. And with the S,
2
they
trims
have
is too many.
dual motor performance and real performance, which I have a feeling once Plaid Plus is available, they'll probably get rid of regular Plaid because the range is the main difference. And
it's really just the battery tech that's the different thing, right? Between
Right.
Plaid and Plaid Plus.
Yeah.
the powertrains are pretty similar. So it'd be kind of pointless to keep
And
both
honestly,
around. They would rather
what's
just
faster than Plaid?
SpaceX package.
Literally rockets.
But literally rockets. But
It's
yeah,
not
I think that
ludicrous.
they realized they were prioritizing the performance Teslas a little bit, and they've had these reservation holders for the Semi for
2017.
like 4 years.
4 years. 4 years. Wow. 4 years
So-
this fall.
If this fall, if the Semis still haven't been delivered, there's people who have put down $20,000 deposits way back in 2017, and they still haven't got their semi trucks yet. It's like, I mean, how? And yet, if they were to prioritize the Plaid Plus, that would be putting these new batteries towards a vehicle that was unveiled last year. And they're getting prioritized, but the semi truck, they're still like, oh no, we're not there yet. And the Roadster is kind of like dessert. I get that. It's not like there's a bunch of businesses buying the Roadster for. The Roadster's
The
not
CEO.
going to, yeah, maybe the CEO. The Roadster doesn't accelerate their mission statement very much.
No, but what it
It
does
kind of
do
does,
is
but-
it's a smackdown statement. It's a
Yeah, it
Hey,
sends a
everybody.
statement.
Tesla. I think whenever the Roadster 2020, the second
23.
generation Roadster, what are we calling this thing? Not the 2020 Roadster anymore.
I think it's
Second
2022
gen.
or 2023. I think.
Yeah, but that's going to
it's-
keep changing. So
Okay.
I'm just going to call it the second generation Roadster
right,
because
that's
we
I
had a
think
first
that's
one.
what they call it.
When the second gen Roadster comes out, that's going to be the moment where Tesla's like, all right, market, all right, industry, all right, world. We are so confident in everything that we make. We believe 100% in the electric future to the point where it's completely dumb not to be having to own an electric car. Here's an example. Here's our entire lineup. Pick something and we'll show you how it's better than every other car on the market. And people are like, oh yeah, okay, Model 3. It's like, okay, it's the best vehicle per dollar for minimal interior. Best vehicle per dollar. I got it right
Price
this time.
per dollar.
I got it right. For those who listen to the Tech Podcast, you are laughing. You want the Cybertruck. Best deal on the market. You know, a beautiful design, beautiful angular durability. You want a semi-truck. Best EV semi-truck. Nikola. And then if you want the fastest car in the world, well, guess what? It's no longer a gas car. And that's just the final smackdown to say, like, no, electric is the future. All you who are holding out for your gas cars are going to be left holding something.
It does make a statement, but I feel like if there are people today that still aren't convinced electric is the future, I don't know if Roadster would change their mind, honestly. I feel like
No.
I think a few would. They would change a few. People are like, oh yeah,
Maybe-
but like the McLaren's so much faster, or like
McLaren's more
the
affordable.
Ferrari. Well,
McLaren's
okay,
kind of like the affordable
sure.
one of the whole supercar lineup of was it
Well, okay,
Ferrari,
then you go to the
Lamborghini,
Bugatti Chiron or
Bugatti,
whatever.
Koenigsegg.
Yeah,
I just feel
Yeah.
like the people who don't believe in electric are probably not phased by specs. Otherwise, Plaid S or Long Range S would have changed their mind by now. Or seeing Model 3 range get better and seeing more EVs come out that are cheaper with better range. If they're still like, I don't know, I want to be able to either work on my car or the range just can't be matched of my gas car. I don't feel like a $200,000 supercar would be changing their mind. They'd just be like, oh, okay, well, you can get good range, but it has to be well over 6 figures. So to me, it's like the statement isn't as a big a priority as just like getting the vehicle that is gonna, I don't know, semi trucks are very dangerous. Like they're huge, they're moving extreme amounts of cargo, and they account for a huge contribution to global emissions because of how much fuel they burn through, which makes the cost saving measures of the Tesla Semi even more impactful than just traditional gas savings, because these things are running on diesel and they're running all the time. So if you can have an electric one with long range that you can charge for a fraction of the price, and you don't have as many brake pad replacements to worry about or oil changes, plus the armored glass and all that, I feel like the Semi also sends a statement to a certain extent, because it's also showing to people electric isn't just for little town cars, low range vehicles. If you were able to prove to the Class 8 trucking industry that you can make an electric truck that's way cheaper to operate, that can still go long enough and can recharge when you're loading it up or unloading it, and just the extreme practicality of it, that's why so many businesses reserved one. If they actually delivered on the Semi and they were hitting the numbers or exceeding the numbers they originally promised, then people would be like, oh dang, okay, so you can make heavy duty electric trucks that actually get work done. It's not just because a lot of people, when they think electric cars, still think of like low range, very small. In order to get the efficiency right, they have to make it really compact and tiny. Tesla's kind of doing the opposite. They're starting with literally everything else, and then in a few years we'll get Model 2, which is the compact, somewhat low range, not that low, but I don't know. I feel like Semi should take all priority this year as the new category alongside all the different factories. But if there is a Tesla to come out this year, I hope it's the Semi.
I do think your theory is at least it has a nice long-term benefit for Tesla in terms of the Model S, because if you think about it, they made a lot of these Plaid Plus Model S's, or at least I think they made a few. I think that a lot of the reservation holders that have the early reservations of these Plaid Plus, I don't think their date has changed necessarily, if I'm remembering correctly from Twitter. So this could potentially be a really good way of delivering maybe a handful of Plaid Pluses near the middle/end of the year, or whenever they deliver them. And then there's just a gap in production from then until the middle of next year. So you have like a handful of people that have these amazing vehicles that will be able to share this experience with a whole bunch of their other friends, who will make them want to buy one, reserve one. And Tesla has the opportunity of saying, well, we don't have the Plaid Plus right now. We can give you the Plaid, and then you can hold on to that for a while, and then you can take delivery of your Plaid Plus later. And it gives a little bit more of a, not instant gratification, but it allows these customers to at least have something to look forward to and get them excited. And in the meantime, maybe spend some money on a performance Model 3 if they've got the money, or something else. And I don't know. I think it's a nice way
for like $100,000 less.
Yeah, it's a nice way to generate demand, I'd say, for the Model S if they're making only a handful of the Plaid Plus.
True.
So,
I agree.
I think I like this.
I'm not entirely. Yeah, I'm not entirely against doing the like limited delivery thing, which I feel like Tesla never really does. They don't want to start deliveries until they can deliver by like the 1,000, which is why part of the Sawyer Merritt leaks about the Semi makes sense to me. Is like they don't want to bring it to production until they can be like constantly producing tons of them every month. They don't want to build like 10 and then start deliveries and then stop deliveries. They want to make it a fully fledged production line. That's probably the only way they can profitably do it anyway. But if you could take some of the prototype cells from Cato Road that have proven high yields and put them in the Plaid Plus and give it to like 10 YouTubers or something, someone that'll definitely give you publicity for free, someone that will be able to tell you like this one is better than the Plaid variant and goes further, and just tweeting and posting videos of someone at 100% and it shows 520 mile range, everyone would be like, whoa, holy crap. That sends a big message there, because it's already hitting a lot of the specs the Roadster was for cheaper. But if you can't designate all the 4680s to that, then only make a few. Just make the little elites club for a while. Then you gotta wait a bit, kind of like the FSD beta.
Yes, which I'm still patiently waiting for. I check the service page and the software page every morning to see if that little button has showed up, and still hasn't. Very disappointing.
Well, text me instantly.
Yes, instant text
if it does.
all around.
What would be really nice is I'm going out of town soon. It'd be nice to use it while I'm going out of town. But if it doesn't
heck
come
yeah
out until, I don't know, next month, I mean, I'll be a little bit tied up, but I could still test it. It won't be as grand as the trip that I'm taking. So
Sure.
we'll see. No, it
That would be a dream on road trips.
it does look interesting though. I'm now really afraid of my camera in a good way.
Oh, really?
It's not. I guess maybe it's not really fear.
In a good
It's
fear.
more of like I'm being judged based on my driving. I should probably be the responsible driver that at least one, the DMV hopes that I'll be, and two, the one that Tesla Insurance also hopes that I would be. So,
Ooh.
and the one that
You're
my
just at 10
wife
and 2
believes
at
I
all
am.
times.
Do you have any privacy concerns over that, Mike, as a Model Y owner?
I'm not doing anything in the car besides driving, so I don't know if
Okay.
I don't think they're like sharing my picture. It's not like Facebook or ever, where like I don't know.
Maybe it is. You never know. Maybe all of those pictures are getting uploaded to Tesla's Facebook page. You never know.
Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time you drive in a car, you are kind of in public anyway.
Yeah. No. That's
Which
fine.
is why I don't have as big a concern about them using the camera, because I know they want to assure safety. In fact, I would love it if they used the eye tracking feature of Super Cruise to let your eyes being on the road prevent you from having to keep your hand on the steering wheel. I think that's more convenient and relaxing. But Super Cruise only works on 3 roads, so it's
3.
not as applicable as autopilot. So
I think it's a little bit
if
more
I
than
could,
3.
I know I'm
It's at least 5.
under exaggerating, but it's not everywhere
It's
essentially,
over
which
3,
is why
but it's under 7.
There we go.
under 5. Yeah, something. It's not scalable if you're just like, this only works on highways that we've pre-mapped. It's not. You're not going to be able to map all of the U.S. So it's autopilot's a lot more scalable because people are using it on dirt roads in their driveways and stuff. They turn on the beta on their dirt private roads and they can drive around, which is far more scalable. But I don't know. We got into quite interesting debate in the Discord about the different levels of autonomy and
I was
how
watching that. confusing
confusing they are. You didn't jump in, but
Oh, no.
I could tell.
1, it was a busy day, and 2, I'm like, I'm not touching this.
I think the definitions are a little messed up.
Yeah.
I think level 2 is way too broad and level 3 is way too specific, because we seem to have quite a few systems on level 4, hardly anything on level 3, and then like almost everything on level 2.
Okay.
So to me, that
Yeah.
seems like if you're going to have different levels of ranking different autonomous driving and measuring the different capabilities of each system, you should probably have a bit more range. If everything is falling in level 2 and nothing is falling in 3, and then a handful are falling in 4, it's like the definition of 3 basically says you still need a driver, and the car can ask you to take over at any time, but the driver can keep their hands off the steering wheel and look away from the road.
No.
Which, to me, I don't understand why many auto companies would ever release that. It's like, be ready to take over, but also don't look. You know,
It sounds like a blend between
I'm trying to
level
think
2
of-
and level 4 then, I think.
That's
Is maybe what
that-
you're getting to, right?
well, it
I-
is 3.
Well, yeah.
I think this step. This is true. Between 2
is
and
between
4 is
4 and
normally
3.
3. And that's normally what comes between those two numbers. I mean, 2.5 is also between those two numbers, but we're only
But
talking
there's,
full
like-
rational numbers.
If
Oh
the car company is not confident enough in the software that they want you to be able to take over, they're typically going to ask you to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because telling someone they don't have to pay attention, but also they might have to pay attention, to me is like contradictory. And that's why no one would do it.
It sounds contradictory, but I think there is a practical purpose for it, because there's a difference, right, between taking a nap and being on your phone while you're driving, right? Like, one is dead to the world, the other is like distracted, I guess. And so I think that's the distinction they're trying to draw. Like with level 3 autonomy, you can be distracted, but you have to be available, right? Like you can be playing a game or having a conversation or playing with your phone or reading a book or whatever. But like, you have to be in the driver's seat. You have to be able to like basically just put your hands on the wheel, right? With like the beep 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 beep. You know, put your hands on the wheel, look around, see what's going on, and hopefully navigate out of a bad situation. But the difference between level two and level 4 is that level 3, which is kind of the being able to not always be responsible for it. And it's not level 5 where you can get crawl on the back and go to sleep, but it's unlike that
Level
one
4
TikToker.
should be able to. You can do that. That's the
Yeah.
weird thing. Level 5 is
True.
just perfection almost. It's not really perfection, but it's basically like it doesn't require a driver. No one can be in the driver's seat, and the car can go anywhere. No geofences and no specific requirements, which is why level 4 is probably going to be a long, long time coming, because if Tesla irons out FSD beta and it works really, really great, but they say it doesn't work in the snow, that's level 4.
Yeah.
Because level 5 doesn't have any fine print like that. It's not like under this condition, it's level 5. It's like it's either level 5 or it's not. So 4 is pretty wide. You can fit a lot of driver assistance systems in there, like Waymo, which I think is almost cheating because it's like 50 square miles of area that the car can drive itself on one road.
In the least
I'm also
efficient
under
traffic
exaggerating.
pattern.
Always being
People are
followed.
like, yeah, when I got on Waymo, it took me like way out of my way.
Yeah, and they've got shadow drivers, and they have
sometimes
people ready
there
to
is a
take
driver
over.
inside of the Waymo.
That's when it's not level 4, because the driver itself is paying attention. It
Yeah.
would be level 3 if the driver was there but on their phone, which I don't think customers of Waymo would find very reassuring.
Sir,
Hey,
are you driving? No, I'm just playing Candy
I'm not
Crush.
driving.
Well, I
They
gotta
just
finish
want
this
me to be
amazing
here.
podcast on the Taylosive podcast channel.
Hold on, Nick's saying
Right.
something controversial right now about the Cybertruck.
I don't know. Like, I get that there are those edge cases, but I don't know. I feel like I get from a driver's perspective the advantage of saying, okay, you can read a book or you can go on your phone, just be ready to take over. But I can't see a company that liability-wise would be comfortable saying,
Yeah.
that's okay, look away, but also be ready. I feel like Tesla or most others, there's like one company that announced they had a level 3 system, but they only have like 100 models, and it only works when you're under 30 miles an hour. So you
That's
have to be
useless.
under 30, and the demo video they showed of it was very, very fine print. I mean, for one, the screen the guy was looking at was like tiny. You know, it wasn't like a Tesla where you have like a big center display. It was like a little 8-inch navigation screen, and it was like, when you're under 30, you can activate, level 3 or whatever it's called, and the driver can watch a movie. And he just lets go of the steering wheel and then looks at the tiny screen, and he's just like,
Is that Avengers
and
Endgame?
then, but then if something goes wrong, the movie stops playing and says, take over. And then he's like, oh, okay, and grabs the steering wheel again. I was like, I can see why a business would never really want to
Yeah.
sell this at scale, because that sounds too complicated. It's like,
It'd be almost.
you could be watching a movie, but at any moment you have to stop watching.
I think the comparison that
hold
I
on.
kind of see is almost like flying in a plane, except you're also the pilot at sometimes. Like, you're sitting in the seats, you're able to watch, I don't know, the 50th rerun of Forrest Gump or something like that on the flight. And then suddenly it's like, wait, hold on. We're going to experience some turbulence. Put on your seatbelt if you haven't already. But in the way of, I guess, driving, it's like, hold on.
Yeah.
We need you to take control for a little bit. We're pausing your movie. You can resume it once it's safe to do so. Which I don't think it's. I don't think that's too much of an issue. I think it's more of just an annoyance. It's almost like the 30-second repeated grabbing of the wheel or twisting of the wheel for the Teslas right now. It's like, I don't want to keep on doing this. I just want to sit and watch the movie. So I think level 3 is, in my opinion, more annoying than it is specific. Of just, you have to do this, but it can do this.
I think a good way for Tesla to motivate drivers to use the system correctly is just being able to turn it off, put you in FSD timeout. I know a lot of not a lot, but some beta users for the current FSD beta were kicked off the program when they weren't, using it. I don't remember.
I haven't
how
heard
Elon
who
worded
it was, but they did
Who
say
was
they
it?
kicked a few people off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But anyway, so that's kind of always looming in the back of your head too, right? Like if it is advertised as level 3, then that company would have to have some kahunas to want to do that. But the catch could be, if you abuse the level 3 system, then you're not going to be able to use it anymore, and that'll incentivize me at least to use the level 3 system in the ways that it was intended to be used, and always be sitting there in the seat, always be ready to take control, but yet still being able to read a book or watch a YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good incentive that Tesla has, and anyone does. Just say, sorry, I know you bought it, but you're irresponsible, so we'll take away your...
I don't know. I feel like that would almost turn people away from wanting to use it if they knew it.
Really?
I mean, that's how it is right now.
Like,
right?
did you know you could use this feature, but if you abuse it, we'll take it away?
And pay
Isn't that
$10,000?
cool?
I mean, that's kind of the same with,
Does that sound fun?
It's like the same of buying
No.
like an iPad and then using it as a coffee cup coaster or something like that. And then just it having issues and being like,
It's like, it can do all these things.
yeah. And you're like, well, wait, hold on. Why can't I return this and get my money back? Because you used it as a coffee cup coaster. I don't know. I don't
That's not how it was meant
I
to be
don't
used.
see-
I think they would...
I don't see too much issue necessarily. I think they already have that issue right now with level 2, right? Is the fact that you have to be attentive, you have to have your hands on the wheel while you're driving. And level 3 is kind of the same. It's just it gives you a little bit more freedom to actually look at your phone more. In that case, maybe the camera would be used in more of response time, right? It'd be like, oh, how long did it take for someone to respond to it? Like, yeah, there'd be a whole lot of fine print basically saying, if a sound or message comes up saying take the wheel, you're liable to do that. We recommend you have your hands on the wheel at all times. But it is possible to have your hands off the wheel and just sit there attentively and or glance at your phone a couple times. I think that's...
I feel like that turnaround time wouldn't be very... Like, if the software does run into a problem where it doesn't know what to do, but you're not paying attention, how helpful can a human be if they don't know what's going on, and then they suddenly take over? They're like, what? What's happening? I don't know. I was on my phone, or I was in the middle of a book. Like, are they going to be able to help much? That's why I see Tesla just going from 2 to 4 one day. I hardly see them going to 3.
So I think the instances where FSD will need to revert to a human will be situations it's confused at, not necessarily emergencies. Now, I should preface that by saying, yeah, an emergency or two will happen where, like, semi-truck blows over. I mean, even then, like, Teslas are pretty good on the highway of just being able to, avoid stuff. What I'm thinking back to is, like, some of the Dirty Tesla videos of, him going through, like, a residential street or whatever, and there's, like, a mail truck, and, like, the car doesn't know what to do at that point. Like, there's no way forward, there's no way around, so what do you want me to do here? And so that's an example where I think it would, and even like a really tricky intersection where maybe it's like, a really strange, unique intersection that isn't really common, and it pulls up to it, and it's like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. Can you take over? And it's in those instances where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm scrolling through my phone. It beeps at me, and I look around, I'm like, okay, I kind of see what's going on here, and then you can perform it. It's not necessarily like a like. I mean, that might be a thing, but I don't think that'd be super common, I guess.
It is the most...
I think that's what they would be worried about, is they can say, all right, we'll take liability when we're in control, but then right before the emergency, we turn off liability, and now you're at fault, even though they were on their phone or reading a book, So it's like at the last second, you're still liable, but for the time leading up to that last second, you're not liable. So people use it, and it could potentially become, I don't know, more prone to accidents because you have to take over at the last second, and people aren't paying attention, so they don't know what they're doing. And I feel like if the car doesn't know how to handle those types of situations, a crazy intersection or a mail truck, then they probably aren't going to feel confident in other situations of saying, okay, don't pay attention if it can't get those things right. I'd feel like if they are confident enough that you don't need to look, it'll be so good that it will be able to handle all those situations to perfection or whatever, close to perfection or substantially better than a human. But I feel weird that Super Cruise and FSD Beta are both level 2.
Yeah.
That feels weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people who use highways as their main path or transit path, basically, from point A to point B.
Sure.
So I don't knock Super Cruise for being a solid system on the road. Like a lot of people say,
No,
it's
it's
not
good.
as finicky as autopilot. It's just autopilot is it's a Swiss Army knife. You can apply it to city streets or highways or kind of like what you said, some dirt road, where Super Cruise is not good at those, but it's really good at highway. And some people just want that. They want to take over on the city streets because they want to feel in control on those, where other people are like, well, I just want it to drive me everywhere, and if it has a few issues, that's okay. So I think it's more of your preference in regards to this weird level 2 distinction between Super Cruise and autopilot. But
Well, it's autopilot's level 2. I'm fine with that. It's the FSD Beta that I'm saying should be considered a bit more advanced, in my opinion.
level 3.
It shouldn't be considered. Yeah, I know the definition doesn't fit, but I'm saying that there needs to be a distinction between lane keep and adaptive cruise control and a car that can handle intersections, roundabouts, stop signs, stop lights, and do interventionless drives for certain people. Not everyone, but just because you have to pay attention. You got to pay attention in both, but one of their capabilities is substantially higher than the other. Both are good. I'm not saying, I'm not docking Super Cruise. It's a fine alternative to autopilot if it's got a pre-mapped route that you use. But if we're looking at all this growth and all this development in a system that's like, oh, now it can handle this, now it can handle this, now, it can go around parked cars and it can go through parking lots and navigate through all this. That's all like, oh, okay, same thing though. Still level 2. I'm like, I don't know. It seems redundant to fit everything in there. It's more like the 5 levels of liability. That's a better accurate measurements of autonomy. It's like, because on Super Cruise you do have to handle these turns and you do have to take control once you run into this situation, whereas on the FSD Beta you wouldn't have to. You would just have to oversee it and intervene if it goes wrong, but a lot of the time it doesn't. So and it gets better.
I would say that at least the transition period from a highway to a city street is still a bit rough on Teslas, at least on the current build. That's not the FSD Beta.
Oh, yeah. The current build for sure.
The amount of highway to highway transfers I have to take on my way to work is a lot. I mean, it's a good amount. I have to go on, I think, 3 or 4 different highways to get to where I'm going.
Oh, wow.
And the transitions, the car could never really do it. I think it only does 1, And that one, it goes like 20 miles per hour on it, when I think the recommended speed is, 40 or something like that, which is good. I mean, the car's making it safe for me as the driver or just the occupant. But I get like a line of people behind me who are just cursing at me, like, what are you doing? Why are you going so slow? I need to get to work. So, yeah, I can kind of see why people compare the two. Just because, well, autopilot's still not that good.
They're advertised as the same thing though too.
Yeah.
Like FSD and Super Cruise are both promoted by their respective companies as full self-driving ish.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Super Cruise is advertised as that way.
I think
but
it's more of a convenience.
Look at it, driver assist.
Okay, go talk to a dealer, car salesman. And he's not going to be saying, "Well, it's actually
I don't think
enhanced cruise
he probably won't
system."
say full self-driving.
No, he probably won't say full self-driving, but it's like the car drives itself on the highway.
Good morning, I am Tim Cook here at Cadillac.
I would buy a car a used car from Tim Cook, even if it was at a sleazy dealership. Good morning. Today we're gonna sell you on a car.
Imagine Tim Cook working at
Yeah.
a
This
Ford dealership.
Nissan has great gas mileage.
Wonderful. I could see, I totally agree. Navigate on Autopilot and Super Cruise being in the same level because they do nearly the same things. But I still feel like there needs to be a distinction between what the FSD beta is doing and what Autopilot's doing. Those are like
True.
very different systems. Yeah. It's saying the car can drive itself through a city and through all these intersections and turns and get you where you need to go versus it'll keep you in your lane and maybe take a few exits. That's totally different. But they're still considered all the same.
Do you think
they're
Tesla
all bunched together?
Jumped the gun using the Autopilot branding with what we currently know as Autopilot?
No.
No, actually. I think Autopilot fits the definition pretty well because Autopilot doesn't mean the plane doesn't need a pilot.
It just means
Autopilot means
pilot can take a break.
stay
while
the course.
system does its own thing.
Yeah. So that's
fair.
kind of how it works on a car.
Actual autopilots are fairly sophisticated on aircraft. You can do an ILS instrument landing.
I mean, planes don't have to
you
worry
can-
about left and right turns and oncoming traffic.
Yes, they do.
Okay, well,
Not as much.
hold on.
They're just traveling at 600 miles
Near
an hour, being
far less.
directed
They're on
by
a imaginary
ATC.
sky road in the sky. Yes, and yes, there is
Exactly.
other traffic. I'm not denying that. What I'm denying is we don't have a
Actually, Mike,
The
conspiracy
planes don't
confirmed.
get
There's only
5
one
feet away from
airplane
each other.
in the world.
There's no red lights.
Yeah, I'm saying there's no red lights in the sky where the plane has to
There's no
suddenly
roundabout.
stop and be like, oh, hold on.
Actually, on the ground there are red lights.
Yeah, but not
There are
it's very
traffic
different.
control
I mean, there's a
signals.
reason we've had self-flying planes a lot longer than self-driving cars.
100% accurate.
It's probably
The
safe to
L1011,
say
way back when TriStar was the very first advanced autopilot system.
I would say finding a way to develop a level 5 autonomous driving system is more complicated than making a plane that can fly itself.
Oh yeah.
And I should also say there's a saying in aviation: aviate, navigate, communicate. That's the priority of how you should be flying. You first need to fly the plane, then you need to figure out where you're going and manage where you're going. Then you need to communicate with the other aircraft and stuff. It's the very same thing for vehicles. Right now, we're just on drive, basically. It just knows how to.
Okay.
Tower, am I clear for parking?
But you still have to navigate, right? You still have to tell the car where it's going. You still have to tell it its final destination.
Sometimes. You can turn on the FSD beta without a pinpoint,
Oh, you
which
can.
I find kind of
What?
funny. Yeah.
You can?
It'll just go.
I mean, you can do the same.
Dirty
with
Tesla does that
current full
sometimes.
self-driving as well. You just put on a road.
It just takes you to the nearest Tesla store.
It just takes you on the highway and lets you keep going.
It'll just
I
go.
think if you've got,
That's kind of creepy. Just letting your car just wander around
maybe we
town.
should do a
with you
test
in
like
it.
that at some point, Drew. Just get in my Y and just get on.
I'm
the
pretty sure
highways.
it just goes straight until it can't
It'll
anymore,
probably
and then
just
it'll
drive
turn.
us all the way to LA or something.
Yeah, it'll probably just keep going straight until it
You are
runs
going
out
to
of
visit
juice.
Randy.
Yeah, you are going this way, but I guess you can do the same with a plane if you wanted to.
Let's just get a plane and try it as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could turn on autopilot and just let it go. I bet it would keep going.
but you'd have to. There's a lot of navigation that happens with airplanes. You got to like get from waypoint to waypoint to waypoint, and it's not really like the pilots are just like, all right, where are we going? Phoenix. All right, PXD or wherever Phoenix's airport is. It doesn't
No,
work like
I know
that.
they're required to check base. I'm just saying, technically speaking, you could just.
Well, no, it's also not.
If
a
you
straight
ignored
line.
everything.
you're following ATC's rules, and as the controllers tell you where to go, basically. But
I don't know if we've talked about this.
You're supposed to.
I think we've beaten that dead horse. That comparison.
Well, I mean, here, one last thing on it. I don't know if we've talked about it in the podcast
Uh-oh.
before, but I know that we've had extensive conversations in the Discord. When do you think, or do you think that Tesla can make a plane/VTOL, Nick?
Me specifically.
Yeah. Because I know Drew.
Well, I would have really liked to have one about like a week ago, but seeing how we haven't had one a week ago, I think that Elon should take a Cybertruck make it all out of aluminum and put some quadcopter blades on each corner and just have it act like a little drone.
I don't think you need quadcopter blades at this point at the scale. I think you need some small helicopter propellers.
Well, okay, sure. Obviously, you'd have like probably a plaid motor, electric motor driving these huge rotors, but it would look like a little quadcopter. I want this.
Plaid? Is there 3 motors?
It'd be quad. It'd be a semi.
A tricopter.
Quad. I mean, you could do a tricopter. You could do a tricopter.
There's bicopter. There's some that are 2 blades, some that are 1. That's a helicopter, and then
True.
some that are 4.
You could do a tricopter.
I wonder
Some
if you
that
could
are
have
8.
a no-copter. I want a
I
no-copter.
developed a dodecacopter at school. So
Dodeca.
yeah, it's 12.
Dodeca. That sounds very Doge of
Or
you.
is it 12? Yeah, it's 12.
How did you answer the question, Nick?
He's-
Oh yeah,
he
Cybertruck,
said
of
just
course.
Cybertruck is
Yes.
the answer to all of the
I
questions
think-
on the show.
Right now, electric air travel sounds unrealistic and impractical, and with today's current energy density and battery costs, it is. But I think that will change, primarily because I do believe their delivery estimates for the next decade are somewhat accurate. They might be a little off, but for the most part, I could see all these different brands, VW or what the crap is that other one? BMW, all these other EV. I was thinking, is that another W?
How many
W's
Ws
are there?
There's also W Motors.
I was like, is it
There's
BMW?
just a car brand just called W.
No, that's the thing.
GM,
W Motors. They're based in Dubai. They made the Lycan Hypersport.
W.
The red car in Fast and the Furious
Okay.
that hopped building to building. If you ever watched the Fast and Furious movies,
The red car.
it's what people
Yeah.
remember it as.
I'm sure there was only one red car.
It's basically what the Lycan
whole movie.
Hypersport is. It's a select few of red cars.
Yeah, well, I think all the major brands by the end of 2030 are going to be mostly converted over to electric. There might be a few brands that are keeping gas around, but they're
Toyota.
not going to be looked at as the future. Yeah, Toyota's going to be like, hybrids are cool. But by 2025, we're probably going to be seeing, Teslas under $30,000 new, hopefully hitting 25, knowing Model 3 situation, it could end up being 27 or 28, but still sub 30. And that means there will be other EV competitors from, either VW or who knows, Samsung at this point, all these other companies that could enter
Sony.
the EV market because they see so much potential, it's trillions of dollars of revenue. So everybody's going to be trying to rush to who can make the cheapest, best EV, that there will be extreme amounts of economies of scale when it comes to batteries. I think that Tesla's kind of pioneering that with the 4680s about like how much investment it costs to make a terawatt hour, and they were estimating 3 terawatt hours by 2030
Sounds about right.
produced a year.
I think that sounds familiar.
It's an insane
I don't
amount.
remember.
And that's just Tesla. I think there will be other major companies also mass producing batteries, and with the improved energy density and the economies of scale, I think not this decade, but maybe 2040s, 2050s, we could reach a point where, Elon says 3 years, so apply 3 times to his timeline, and then might actually end up
Model Y
happening.
comes out in 3 years. Nope, it's actually 30.
Yeah. He said the watt hours per kilogram for electric aircraft would start to make sense
400
in
or
like
something.
2024, 2025. Yeah, 400 watt hours, 500 watt hours per kilogram. And I think it'll take a bit longer than he thinks because he's always very generous with his timelines. So I would say maybe mid to late 2040s is when the watt hours per kilogram and the cost of those batteries will be so cheap because of the scale of vehicles that incorporating them into a VTOL aircraft that can, like Elon talks about, go to a high altitude and then kind of glide down for a long period of time would actually start to make sense, and airliners could start actually buying those and switching over to them and have. There are electric planes today that carry people and cargo. The range isn't good, but I kind of look at it as the same way as electric cars. Is like 20 years ago, it wasn't looked at as practical or feasible or cost effective either, because if you wanted a long range EV, it was going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and could hardly carry anything. But if you just look at the rapid decrease in cost of batteries compared to the original Roadster, which I remember reading yesterday, I think they said the production of the original Roadster was 13 years ago yesterday.
Jeez.
So that car was how much new? Like
It was
100
six figures, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think it's over 100, right?
It was somewhere around there. I was thinking percentage wise on body parts. I'm like, it was very new in terms of like its difference between the Lotus chassis and a Lotus.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, no, 6 figures easily. Yes.
So it was barely breaking 200 miles of range, fit 2 people, and it was 6 figures.
Yeah.
And now we can get EVs for under $40,000 that sit 4 to 5 people that go close to 300, nearing 300. So that's within like a 13-year timeline. If we're talking about that extreme scale of production with batteries and
We've
EVs,
tripled the range, half the price, and sextupled the seating capacity.
yeah. So if that trend continues, I mean, there's lots of people that still, I don't know, they feel desperate to find a use case for hydrogen. Everyone wants hydrogen to do something. I feel like
Pokes it with stick.
there's some kind of
Do
addiction
something.
people have. Yeah, they're like, what I have lost all hope with hydrogen and fuel cell tech is like, I remember watching videos Ford did back in 2009 about fuel cell in the future and this is great range and everything, and then it never turns into anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost of hydrogen, of transporting it and storing it and generating it, is so much higher, and it can't just match the price of jet fuel because the process of converting is super expensive. So you're not going to get airliners and aircraft to convert to a new standard if it's going to cost the same. Even if it's better for the environment, they're not going to do it. It has to be like cost effective, and I think that electric would be, because of the amount of energy, the little amount of energy that gets lost between battery to motor output compared to a combustion engine or a jet engine, where a lot of that energy is lost. So if there is a bunch of cost saving measures and the range starts to get good and they can implement them into their current infrastructure. I mean, airports have a ton of electric capacity as is.
Yeah.
So retrofitting a lot of the grid for airports to charge up giant battery packs, I could see eventually happening. I'm not saying tomorrow, but like a few decades from now. Yeah, I think Tesla could get there.
Eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
It'd be cool to see one.
How about you, Mike?
Kind of same prediction. I'm thinking probably 2040s, 2050s. We start seeing promise in some electric flying vehicle. For one who is, I guess not currently right now, but in the next month, we're going back onto the whole dodecacopter project. I'm basically revisiting that with my school that I'm at right now.
Cool.
But instead of dealing with the dodecacopter, we're just downscaling it to a giant quadcopter that is still roughly about 7 feet in diameter from wingtip to wingtip.
Whoa.
So it's really big. It can
So you
kill
can
you.
almost fit a Cybertruck in there. I like this. You're making my vision come reality.
It's pretty big.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's all about testing it and seeing if you could at least feasibly make something that can carry heavy loads. So it's more of in service of Amazon's delivery package system by air. And then from there, that only increases the knowledge of how much stuff can you load onto an aircraft. Well, I mean, you can do that with calculations, but at least in practice, how feasible is it with a large drone structure, and then bringing that forward to transporting people, in which I think in the Bay Area, there is initiatives for that. There's a lot of taxi cab flying companies that are sparking up here in the Bay, and there's a few of them that have videos of their product flying around, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, and then from there, making it bigger and bigger to where you can have something that maybe is like Elon's private jet that can carry about like 20 people maybe, and still feasibly get you from
19.
one corner of the world to the other without having to stop and charge for a long time or swapping out the batteries, which I think is a better idea with planes. Is just take out the battery, put in a new one, ready to go.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only like a 15-minute.
That's a good idea.
It still takes time to taxi out a plane from a terminal, whether it's private or public. So
Yeah.
Man, that'd be a big battery.
that'd be a big battery.
Be like 50 megawatt hours or something.
Something huge.
That'd be cool to see. Well, someday when they get the mass
We'll just
production
have
of
to
it
make an
down,
arc reactor. That's all. It'll fix everything.
that'd be great too.
Elon, get on that.
Fair enough. Alrighty, folks. Thanks for listening. Hopefully, S deliveries have started by the time you're watching this. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.